today is Lexie the Word Wrangler by Rebecca Von Slyke and illustrated by Jesse Hartland. So pretty much all week we've been talking about words and moving letters around, the C and the K, and that great sound of the eucalyptus tree or how the words come together for that. It's another one of those books. So this is a really nice collection of books that breaks apart letters and sounds and words. Lexie was the best wrangler west of the Mississippi, and everyone knew it. She wore a tall hat, fancy boots, and a bandana. Like all wranglers, Lexie could ride a horse, twirl a lariat, and herd cantankerous cattle where she wanted them to go. Cantankerous is such a great word. See, look how big the word cantankerous is. Woo! It's a big one. But Lexie wasn't an ordinary wrangler. Lexie was a word wrangler. Lexie could tie words together. She could take an ear of corn and a loaf of bread and make some tasty cornbread. She could take a stick of butter and a pesky fly and make a beautiful butterfly. In the spring, Lexie watched over the baby letters on the ranch until they grew into bigger and bigger words. A, at, cat, cattle. A, age, sage, sagebrush. Every morning in the chuck wagon, Lexie mixed up a fresh batch of words. I love this page here. How you can start with a single letter and build out some really big words. She could take an annoying pest and turn it into some fine pets. She could take a small spot and make it into a post. See what Lexie's doing on this page? Same letters in pest as in pets, and she's just moving the letters around. Kind of like we did in the book May I Have a Word, when the C and the K and the N all worked together to make new words. Well, at the end they worked together. The C and the K were not friends at the beginning. Lexie could herd words into sentences. For sale, barn kittens. If you all have a pest problem, they will help you. They'll also make great pets. She could hitch sentences together so they could do a job. Lexie, dear Ma, life on the ranch is as fine as frog's hair. I'm busy putting in some posts for a new fence in a spot near the barn. In the evening, she penned words together to tell a story. Once upon a time, there were 3 little jackalopes. Everyone agreed that Lexie was a champion word wrangler. Show this page first. Nearly everyone, that is. Lexie noticed that not all was well on the ranch. At first, it was little things. When Lexie got dressed in the morning, she noticed that the D was missing from her bandana. Wranglers don't wear bananas around their necks, she said. Uh-oh. It looks like instead of all the letters being wrangled together, some of them are escaping. So we can build words, add letters to make new words, or we can take letters away to make new words. Then it was bigger things. After a rainstorm, she looked up in the sky and said, "Some varmint has stolen the rain from the bow." It was true. Instead of a rainbow, there was a bow in the sky. Now, wouldn't that be silly? When Lexie rounded up a herd of calves for a neighboring rancher, someone released a whole passel of baby G's into the calf pen. All the little dogies became doggies. "I got me a bone to pick with some rascals," she said. I don't know if my Western accent is good. That night, when Lexie unrolled her sleeping bag, the twinkling star in the sky turned into rats. "Ain't no fun sleeping under the rats," she said. "Looks like we got us a word rustler." Lexie dusted off her bedroll. "I aim to find that word rustler and bring him to justice," she said, and she headed into the bunkhouse to sleep. I don't know where this accent's coming from. We're just going to need to roll with it. Oh, I like this one. The next morning she rode off into the desert to look for the word rustler. But that rascal had added an S, turning the whole desert into a giant dessert. "Don't that just take the cake?" she said as she picked icing out of her horse's hooves. That is one of the trickiest words. Desert, you know, whether it's dry and sand, D-E-S-E-R-T, and dessert, which is awesome, D-E-S-S-E-R-T. It's not easy to pick up on that one. "It's high time to trap this scoundrel," Lexie said. She set a loop in her lariat and climbed a tree by the barn to wait for the word rustler to strike again. Lexie waited and waited. Finally, along about sundown, Lexie noticed a shadow slinking along the corral where the longhorn cattle were. He was just about to steal the long from the longhorns when... Uh-oh. Lexie's rope snaked out. Well, looks like she's catching herself a word rustler. "Looks like I caught me a word rustler," Lexie said. "What were you planning to do, kid?" "Aw, shucks, I wasn't gonna hurt the critters," the kid said. "I was just aiming to have a little fun. And leave me with a corral full of horns?" said Lexie. "Darn tootin'," said the kid. Lexie tried to hide a smile. "What's your name, kid?" My name's Russell," he said. "Please don't tell my pa." "Justice must be done," said Lexie. "Aw, shucks," said Russell. "All I've ever wanted was to work with words like you." "You do seem to have a talent for it," Lexie admitted. She looked at Russell. "I hate to see good talent go to waste." This isn't a word. I-F''N. If'n. I don't know what that means. If and you can promise me you'll use your talents for good, maybe I can help." "You've got my word," said Russell. Lexie uncoiled her rope from around the word rustler. She lassoed up a big W and a little E. So if you see, this is the word ifin. Usually when there's a word, an apostrophe, and another letter or two, that's called a contraction. And it means two words were put together, but some of the letters in between were taken out. Like the word can't, C-A-N apostrophe T, is really cannot, C-A-N-N-O-T. And we just shorten it in the English language. I have no idea what ifin is. I don't think it's real. And if it is real, I've lived long enough and never used it. I'm never going to use it again. Soon, Russell was no longer the word rustler. He became Russell, the word wrestler. Now Russell works side by side with Lexie on the ranch. He helps her break the wild words in the herd. He can take a dangerous rattlesnake and turn it into a baby's rattle and a harmless snake. He helps Lexie train the baby letters to work together. In, win, wing, swing. Tree, house. Treehouse. And Russell even helps out the other young'uns learn to hitch words together. Rope, tree, the, ride, and let's swing to the house. Let's ride to the treehouse and swing on their rope, so they can become word wranglers themselves someday. There's a dictionary at the end of the book. Ifin isn't in there, so it's not real. Love this book because it shows how you can take letters and make bigger words just by adding more letters, how sometimes you can put two words together and make a new word, or you can split a word apart and make two. It's great. Now I'll tell you, remember how this book, The Eucalyptus Tree, it was so fun to read out loud because it had that kind of musical rhythm to it. This book did not have that. When a book tries to add letters and take letters apart, it becomes really hard to read aloud. So I know that some of my kiddos might run into a book like this where they have lots of similar words in a row, like stop and post and stuff like that. That is harder to read out loud because your brain is so focused on trying to figure out the word you're saying. And when you get to the next similar word, it wants so hard to make it the same as the first word you saw. So, two very different books to read. All right, everybody, have a great day.